Episode 46, I miss you. Let me hold you for a while. After returning home late, Ningxi continued using the excuse of losing weight and skipped dinner, immediately heading into her room. She felt grateful for the weight gain she and Little Bun had experienced together these days, giving her such a good reason. After a while, a knock on the door sounded. Fortunately, the footsteps were not Lu Tingxiao's. Ningxi had just finished taking a shower. She walked over and opened the door. It was Bendy, holding a tray with some food. He seemed momentarily stunned at the sight of Ningxi, who had just finished bathing. The girl in front of him was too beautiful. Her skin was rosy after the shower, making her irresistibly attractive. Even as a woman, it was hard not to be moved, no wonder the young master. Bendy quickly shook his head, snapping out of it, and said, "Miss Ningxi, young master asked me to bring you some food. While maintaining your figure is important, you shouldn't starve. These are low-fat and low-calorie foods. It's okay to have a little." "Alright, thank you, Bendy." Seeing the cute maid, Ningxi's nervousness eased a bit. "You've changed your hairstyle, Bendy. It's really cute and suits you well." "Thank you, Miss Ningxi." Bendy touched his hair happily and hesitated before speaking again. "Miss Ningxi, you're really kind. I think you and young master are a perfect match. It would be great if you could be our young madam. Otherwise, if another woman with ulterior motives enters the house, we'll be in big trouble." Ningxi, why was even the maid joining in on this? Please spare her. Later, Bendy knocked on the door again, bringing her a cup of milk. When the knocking happened for the third time, Ningxi was on the balcony enjoying the breeze, thinking it was Bendy again. She casually said, "Come in." However, as the footsteps approached, she realized something was amiss. When she turned around, she saw Lu Tingxiao's face inches away. "Lu Tingxiao." Ningxi instinctively gripped the balcony railing. "Is something the matter?" Lu Tingxiao didn't say anything, just stood quietly in front of her, watching her. The girl in front of him was wearing a floor-length palace-style nightgown that covered everything appropriately. Her hair, just dried, floated gently in the night breeze. The lingering blush on her cheeks after the shower, her lively eyes showing a hint of surprise and vigilance. When Ningxi felt like she was being stared at to the point of numbness, Lu Tingxiao finally spoke. "Ningxi." "Ning if, Lu Tingxiao, I miss you." Ningxi suddenly widened her eyes, nearly thinking she had hallucinated. Cough. What? Lu Tingxiao reached out, gently picking up a strand of hair by her ear. His tone was ethereal, like the cold air rising from an icy pool. "It feels like it's been a very, very long time since I last saw you. It had only been 2 days, okay?" "Bah, that wasn't the point. The point was, did Lu Tingxiao just say he missed her? Did he directly say he missed her? This development wasn't right. She must be hallucinating, right? She must be." However, as Ningxi kept trying to find a reasonable explanation for Lu Tingxiao's behavior, he took a step forward, encircling her waist with one arm, gently guiding her towards him. He pulled her into his arms. At the same time, his other hand also came around, tilting his body and, in an extremely weary yet affectionate manner, gently buried his head in her neck. "Ah! Oh my goodness! What's happening here?" Ningxi's brain felt like it had been invaded by a virus, and when she finally cleared the confusion, her first reaction was to quickly push him away. However, Lu Tingxiao tightened his arms around her, and his voice near her ear sounded somewhat pitiful. "Don't move, okay? Let me hold you for a while." How was she supposed to respond to this request? Damn it, what was wrong with Lu Tingxiao? Although she had been intentionally avoiding him these past few days, she had been extremely cautious and certainly didn't want to alert him. Why did he suddenly? 10 seconds passed. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute passed. 3 minutes passed. What happened to holding her for a while? This was too untrustworthy. At the moment when Ningxi couldn't bear it any longer, Lu Tingxiao released her. "I'm sorry, I got a bit out of control." Ningxi swallowed hard. It's okay. Damn it, he almost scared her into a heart attack, and it ended with just an apology? Even more unfortunate was that she couldn't even say a single word of no. Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl with a somewhat distressed expression, a subtle glint of amusement flickering in his eyes. "Go to bed early. Good night." "Hee, good night, good night." "You too, good night." "Good night," her foot. She wasn't going to sleep tonight. The next morning, Ningxi, who had suffered from insomnia all night, hid in bed, afraid to get up. In the end, she sneakily called Bendy. "Bendy, did your young master go to work?" "Not yet. But I noticed that young master is quite busy. He hasn't stopped receiving calls since he woke up, and even Assistant Chang rushed over in a hurry. It seems like he was asking young master when he would set off." "And then?" "Then, young master still hasn't left. He's been downstairs the whole time, and I don't know what he's waiting for." It seemed like there was no escape. Ningxi took several deep breaths, adjusted her mindset, put on an unbreakable mask, and went downstairs with a calm and natural expression. She saw Lu Tingxiao casually sitting on the sofa, and Assistant Chang was beside him, anxiously holding a bunch of things, his face full of eagerness but not daring to rush. As Ningxi descended the stairs, she stretched lazily, pretending to be surprised when she saw Lu Tingxiao downstairs. "Oh, Lu Tingxiao, it's already this late, why haven't you gone to work yet?" Lu Tingxiao looked up at the girl when he heard her voice, and his eyes, like threads of wool, tenderly encircled her in circles. "I'm waiting for you," Lu Tingxiao said. Ningxi was dumbfounded. Why did she suddenly feel that she couldn't have a proper conversation with Lu Tingxiao anymore? As Ningxi was at a loss, Lu Tingxiao had already stood up and walked towards her. Ningxi, in a reflex, wanted to step back, but his gaze seemed to have an invisible force that firmly held her in place, making her unable to move. In a moment, Lu Tingxiao had walked in front of her, and his large hand touched her hair. "If I don't wait for you now, I won't see you all day." Ningxi continued to be dumbfounded. "I'm going to work now," Lu Tingxiao said, leaning down and planting a kiss on her forehead. Ningxi had completely crashed. Behind them, Assistant Chang had an expression of being blinded by the light, then blushed and looked away as if it was improper to watch. Too miserable, it was only early in the morning, and not only did she almost go mad with anxiety, but she also experienced another round of torture. Even after Lu Tingxiao had left for a long time, Ningxi still stood in place, absent-mindedly touching the forehead that had just been kissed, the lingering sensation of the fiery kiss not fading away. Although it was just a kiss on the forehead, even though she had stolen a kiss from him before, this was the first time they had kissed while both being conscious. At this moment, Ningxi finally understood. Lu Tingxiao must have already noticed her strategy, so he changed his approach. If he continued to pretend as before, that would be fine, but what if he decided not to conceal things anymore? What would she do then? Damn it. It's over. Indeed, she couldn't outsmart him. If she was forced to that point where everything was laid bare, there would be only one result, a breakup, or even worse. As Ningxi was panicking, she suddenly felt her trouser leg being tugged. She lowered her head and saw Little Treasure looking up at her with his head tilted. "Little Treasure." Ningxi was surprised to see that he had already finished a watercolor painting. "You finished so quickly?" Little Treasure shyly nodded, then looked at her expectantly. Ningxi, after examining the painting, was even more surprised. "Is this?" Little Treasure rarely painted portraits besides herself and him. His landscapes never included people. However, this time, Ningxi discovered 3 figures in his painting. In the vast sky, 3 people sat on clouds, a man, a woman, and a little boy. Though the painting maintained its abstract style, Ningxi could easily recognize the features of the people, herself, Lu Tingxiao, and Little Treasure. Previously, Little Treasure had never included Lu Tingxiao in his paintings. This was the first time he had. Ningxi's expression was slightly stunned, but she quickly returned to normal, taking Little Treasure's hand. "Let's go, we'll use it to make a kite." The butler should have prepared bamboo strips for the frame. Little Treasure nodded, but his expression seemed a bit disappointed. Ningxi spent the whole day flying kites with Little Treasure and even personally cooked dinner. For the past 2 days, she had been eating out with Little Treasure and coming home late. Now, it seemed that this trick had failed and was not worth continuing. Just as she finished preparing the meal, that rascal, Lu Jingli, with his dog-like nose, followed the scent and wagged his tail as he ran over. "Wow, it's all my favorite dishes, sister-in-law, ahem, cough, cough, little Shishi, it's rare to see you cooking again." Ningxi gave Lu Jingli a sideways glance. This guy accidentally let it slip and called her sister-in-law, right? Go call your brother to come eat. Oh, okay. Lu Jingli hurriedly ran off, but at the same time, he was filled with doubt. He had accidentally let it slip earlier. He was so scared that he broke into a cold sweat. Why didn't Ningxi react? Could it be that she didn't hear clearly? At the dinner table, Lu Jingli, with his keen intuition, felt that something was off between these two. Something's not right, something's not right. Lu Jingli bit on his chopsticks, leaned over to his brother's ear, and whispered, Bro, did you do something to little Shishi? Why does she seem so afraid of you? She can't even look you in the eye. I haven't done anything, Lu Tingxiao replied, his expressionless face revealing no trace of anomaly. Could it be that my sixth sense is malfunctioning? That's impossible. Lu Jingli scratched his head in confusion. Finally, the meal came to an end. Ningxi felt like she had fought a war just to finish her meal, always on guard for potential attacks. After dinner, Ningxi immediately stood up to clear the dishes. I'll wash the dishes. Lu Jingli wiped the last piece of sweet and sour spare ribs off his plate, bulging his cheeks as he muttered, Leave it to me. It's okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. Ningxi rushed to take over, desperately looking for something to keep her occupied. Lu Jingli, with some concern, glanced at Lu Tingxiao beside him and quickly said, You've worked so hard to cook, how can I let you wash the dishes? I ate the most, so it should be me. Lu Jingli finished his sentence with a self-satisfied look towards his elder brother. However, Lu Tingxiao casually glanced at him and said, Let Ningxi wash. Huh? Lu Jingli was shocked. Did the sun rise from the west today? The protector of his wife actually let Ningxi wash the dishes? This was not logical. While Lu Jingli was still puzzled, Lu Tingxiao looked at him and said in a low voice, After all, you are a guest. Lu Jingli, dumbfounded, pointed at his own face. What? I'm a guest? Did this mean that Ningxi and he were family, and he had become a guest? While Lu Jingli was still trying to comprehend what had just happened, Lu Tingxiao continued, Let Ningxi do it. Ningxi blushed and supported her forehead with her hand, looking helpless, before rushing upstairs. Little Treasure looked at the suddenly fleeing Auntie Xiaoxi with a bewildered expression. Though he didn't know what happened to Auntie Xiaoxi, he could tell that Daddy had upset her. Unhappy, he glared at Lu Tingxiao and then stomped away with his little short legs. Being unexpectedly showered in dog food, Lu Jingli stared blankly at Ningxi's retreating figure. He couldn't help but be speechless. Bro, is this what you mean by haven't done anything? Even someone as tough as Xiaoxi can't handle it and runs away covering her face. I knew my sixth sense wouldn't be wrong. What exactly are you up to? I've been cautious every day, afraid of letting something slip, and now you suddenly change your style. At least let me know in advance so I can figure out how to cooperate with you in the future. Lu Jingli rambled on like Tang sang, and Lu Tingxiao responded with 3 words, Go wash dishes. Having been tortured to the brink of collapse, Lu Jingli almost coughed up blood. In the end, he still had to wash the dishes? Did he use him to show off their affection and then abandon him? Where's humanity? Where's justice? Where's the brotherly love? In the quiet night, Ningxi lay on her bed with wide open eyes. Several hours had passed, but her heart still raced abnormally. This was unbelievable. Despite having experienced so many ups and downs, she actually panicked like this because of a man's words. She was acting like a teenage girl with no romantic experience. She could hardly imagine what the future days would be like. No, she couldn't just sit and wait for death like this. At that moment, the wall clock made a tick sound, pointing to midnight. Ningxi abruptly got up, ready to search through her belongings. After searching for a while, Ningxi changed into a silver sequin halter top, black tight leather pants, and 12-centimeter high heels. She then applied heavy makeup that could make even her own mother not recognize her. Cinderella changed into a gorgeous dress at midnight to ride a pumpkin carriage to the royal palace to meet the prince. As for Ningxi, she transformed into a little fairy in the middle of the night to go to the nightclub and brush off the Dark Lord's displeasure. Sigh. These past few days, Lu Tingxiao had been quite busy. He probably hadn't slept at this time, right? Ningxi ran to the balcony and looked towards the direction of the study. As expected, she saw that the light in Lu Tingxiao's study was still on. So, she decisively went to knock on the door. Alright, let's blind him with our presence later. Knock, knock, knock. She knocked on the door 3 times. After a while, she heard steady footsteps from inside. Then, the door opened. Lu Tingxiao's expression froze for a moment when he saw the person outside. You? I made plans to meet a friend for drinks. I just came to tell you. Ningxi said, looking at Lu Tingxiao with anticipation. Lu Tingxiao's surprise was fleeting. He nodded knowingly, as if he hadn't noticed her exaggerated appearance. Okay, have fun. He then asked, do you need the driver to take you? Ningxi's face turned slightly dark. No need. I'll ride my bike. She took a deep breath. Just as she mustered the courage to leave, Lu Tingxiao suddenly walked towards her from behind his desk. What did he want now? Ningxi subconsciously took a step back, but she still couldn't avoid the touch of Lu Tingxiao's reaching hand. His fingers touched her earlobe and gently pinched it. Ningxi's whole body was electrified, and she covered her ears with a shocked expression, looking at Lu Tingxiao as if he were a pervert. Lu Tingxiao, with a subtle curve at the corner of his mouth, pointed to the spot he had just touched. You have a black mole here. So? Her mind was already chaotic, and she couldn't understand his logic regarding her mole. Even though your makeup and appearance would make it difficult for ordinary people to recognize you, this mole is distinctive and fully exposed. It's better to cover it up a bit, Lu Tingxiao explained. Standing 2 steps away, Ningxi said, It's just a mole. Will anyone notice? Be cautious. Alright, you have a point. I'll wear a larger earring to cover it up later. After a brief exchange, Ningxi finally left the gate riding her bike. Why did it feel like she was just starting this round, and she had a premonition that she would lose miserably? No, she needed to stay alert and break the superstition about the Dark Lord. Nightclub. For once, Ningxi indulged herself, ordered a bottle of wine, and sat at the bar, pouring herself a drink. The dance floor was chaotic with people dancing wildly, but she had no interest. She absent-mindedly held her glass, lost in thought. Nightclubs and bars like this were already old news to her, having spent many years in foreign countries. Even the most exciting scene seemed like a silent and comical mime to her. After finishing 1 bottle of wine, Ningxi ordered a second. Alcohol didn't relax her, instead, it made her more agitated. At this moment, a man holding a glass approached her. Miss, alone? The man looked to be in his 30s, well-dressed, and had an air of sophistication. He had a self-satisfied appearance. After 1 bottle of wine, many men in the bar had already noticed her, but someone like Ningxi, who seemed experienced, was not easily approached by ordinary people.